Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Jai Radha Madhav Jaya Radha Madhav Jaya Radha Madhav Jaya Radha Madhav Shri Radha Madhava Ji ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari 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 Bol Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Welcome everyone to this morning's Bhagavatam class. We are reading from the 7th canto, chapter 5, entitled Prahlad, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu, text number 13. Please repeat after me. Sa esha atma swapareti abuddhibhir. Sa esha atma swapareti abuddhibhir. Durat Duratyayanu kramano nirupyate. Duratrayano kramano nirupyate. Muhyanti yad vartmani vedavadino. Muhyanti yad vartmani vedavadino. Brahmadayo hi esha bhinnati me matim. Brahmadayo hi esha bhinnati me matim. Sa esha atma swapareti abuddhibhir. Duratyayanu kramano nirupyate. Muhyanti yad vartmani vedavadino. Brahmadayo hi esha bhinnati me matim. Vedavadino. Eshatma saparitya buddhivir. Duratya anukrano nirupyate. No. Saha he esaha this atma supersoul in a supersoul situated in everyone's heart. Swapara, this is my own business and that is someone else's. Iti, thus, abuddhibhihi, by those who have such bad intelligence. Turatyaya, very difficult to follow. Anukarmanaha, whose devotional service. Nirupyate, is ascertained by scriptures or the instructions of the spiritual master. Muhyanti, are bewildered. Yat, of whom? Vartmani, on the path. Vedavadinaha, the followers of the Vedic instructions. Brahma Adayaha, the demigods, beginning from Lord Brahma. He, indeed, Eshaha, this one, Bhinnati, changes, Me, my, Matim, intelligence. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Persons who always think in terms of enemy and friend are unable to ascertain the supersoul within themselves. Not to speak of them, even such great exalted persons as Lord Brahma, who are fully conversant with the Vedic literature, are sometimes bewildered in following the principles of devotional service. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has created this situation, has certainly given me intelligence to take the side of your so-called enemy. Purport. Prahlad Maharaj admitted frankly, my dear teachers, you wrongly think that Lord Vishnu is your enemy because he is favorable towards me. But because he's favorable toward me, I understand that he is the friend of everyone. You may think that I have taken up the side of your enemy, but factually, he has bestowed a great favor upon me. Mukam karoti vachalang pangum langhayate girim yatkripa tamaham mande Shri Gurundinatarinam. So, we're going into a section here where Prahlad is answering the teachers and also his father later. Anybody knows what is the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam? First canto, second verse. How does the Bhagavatam open? Memorize, homework for all bhaktas. What is the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam? Too early? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janamadyasya Tonmayatitraschartveshu Bhigya Swarat Tene Brahmaridaya Adikavaye Muhyanti Yat Surya Tejavari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatratri Sargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. Repeat. Second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is Dharma projita kaitavatra paramo nirmat saranam satam vedam vastamamatra vastu shivadam trapotayan moolanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamune krite kimma parair ishvaraha sadhyo hridhi avarudhyatetra sushrubhitat kshanat atra kritibhi sushrubhitat kshanat. Please memorize these verses. What is the third verse of Srimad Bhagavatam? If Bhagavatam is your Lord and Master, you should know him. Nigamakалпатароргалитам phalam Shukamukhad amritadravasayutam Pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam Muhuraho rasika bhuvibhavuka Nigamakалпатароргалитам. Even Shankaracharya's guru liked Srimad Bhagavatam. He has quoted verses. So some say, oh, this is a modern creation by some envious Vaishnavas, and the Devi Bhagavat is the actual Bhagavat. Well, Vaishnavas have a great heart for the Supreme Mother, but it is incorrect to say that Srimad Bhagavatam was written after Devi Bhagavat. There's a competition. They have written two Bhagavats. One is about Durga, and one is about Krishna. And those who are followers of Durga, they claim that their Bhagavatam is the real one, and this one is a false one, and things like that. Unfortunately, they are not very great scholars, because Vedavyas has summarized the contents of every Purana in the Brihanaradiya Purana. There's chapters which describe the contents. And there, the Srimad Bhagavatam, which we have, is explicitly explained in the same way. Like which chapter deals with what, which canto deals with, like that. So, here, Dharma projita kaitava atra paramo nirmat saranam satam. Why did I bring up this point? Sometimes people write books in order to make their point very clear that Durga is supposed to be higher, demigods are higher, and Krishna is just an ordinary demigod. At least like that, And people write their books and they claim it to be written by Vedavyas, but it is not so. If one steadily studies Vedavyasa's books, one finds that all Puranas start with a mantra. Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam deving saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. That mantra is the mantra which all Puranas start. So there is no chance for falsification, because in this mantra you have already claimed Narayan to be the Supreme Lord. And we pay obeisance to Mother Saraswati and Vyasa. And some of these Puranas and the other works, they don't start with this mantra. They are not written by Vedavyas. So, Bhagavatam can only be understood by those who are paramo nirmat saranam, completely free from all kinds of envy. Right? This first deals with enemies and friends. Enemy and friend means based on envy. So, those who have envy in their heart, they cannot understand Srimad Bhagavatam. Vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam trapatonam moolanam. Why? What do you gain by becoming free from all envy? What would you gain by that? You're many steps ahead. Very good. So, when one becomes paramo niramat saranam satam, dharma projita kaitavatra actually means Srimad Bhagavatam throws out all materialistic oriented religions. Anything you want to attain in this world, that religion, those processes are thrown out. Srimad Bhagavatam is for those who are paramo nirmat saranam, fully freed from all kinds of envy. And it grants you, when you're free from envy, Vedyam Vastavam Atra Vastu. That substance, you get Vastavam Vastu, factual substance, which is all auspicious and uproots all kinds of miseries. So all the miseries in this world are summarized in three. And they're called Adhyatmika Klesha, Adhibhautika Klesha, and Adhidaivika Klesha. And this you should also memorize. These are all bhakta training terms. Adhyatmika klesha means the klesha from the Atma. Now, Atma here doesn't mean the Atma, the actual soul. It means the mind. Right? There are so many troubles in the mind because the mind is not controlled. So it creates pain in the mind. And Bir Krishna Maharaj, he added another klesha to this three. Adi Devoti klesha. Anyway, he said, I get emails from ladies who claim that, Maharaj, what should you do if your husband is Hiranyakashipu? So he added another klesha. Klesha means pain. Adi Atmika klesha, Adi Daivika klesha, Bhautika klesha, Adi Devoti klesha. Anyway, the joke. It was in Mayapur, he was giving a class. So sometimes becomes unhappy because of one's own doing. One is dissatisfied, distressed. It is very gray, it's dark, there's no sunshine. You feel like, what the weather? Become, gray as it is outside. The mind becomes gray and depressed, That's adhyatmika. The depressions, the pains from by yourself. You created them yourselves. Adhibhautika klesha means it is given by other living entities, like mosquitoes in the night. Horrible. I want some blood. You got blood in your blood, I'll give you a few drops, And we are in a very precarious condition because devotee means who has to tolerate. You have to tolerate. So you cannot kill the mosquitoes. I know you'll bring up this point. Yes, sometimes it's intolerable. You see, mosquitoes. But the best thing to do is what I do. I focus on them and grab them from the sky. And I open a window and out. Sometimes it happens that they get smashed, but most of the time it works, when they're in the palm, some of them are very aggressive. They still bite you in the palm. But it's less than when they bite you in the ear or in the eye or in the lip. Then it becomes swollen. So these are all other living entities, and worse than them are these bees. When you take prasad in the morning outside, and these bees, they come, these wasps. And so these are all problems created. You have mouses running here and there, and they try to bite your groceries and things like that. So these are all other living entities. They give all kinds of problems, kleshas. So then there is Adidaivika klesha. Problems given by the devatas. What's that? Too much rainfall, too much snow, always gray, cold wind, Last night it was quite hot. I think you all maybe have slept with the window open. I did at least. But then in the morning it was amazingly cold all of a sudden. So they had to close that. So this uncomfortable situation is given by the devatas. So these are all kinds of troubles which we experience. And Srimad Bhagavatam will give you something which is so auspicious, it will uproot these three kinds of problems. Right? Mental problems, problems from other living entities, and problems which are given by the devatas. So how is that? What does Srimad Bhagavatam then give? It gives you Vastavam Vastu. It's giving you something which is above the three modes of material nature. It gives you a situation free from all envy. Because envy causes pain in the mind. one has to rise above the mind onto the atmic level. One has to look inward and find inner peace and satisfaction, which is corresponding to the level of deep sleep, as I mentioned many times. There you find very great peace, rest, no envy, full satisfaction. Why? Because there's nobody else to be seen that you can be envious of. Nice, isn't it? It's right in you. That solution is there. If people are envious or they are completely frustrated, let them go deep inside. There is a dimension where you can always be free from all kinds of material influences. So, self realization, therefore, is the only way to become free from the lower natures like friends, enemies, based on envy. Now, why does envy come up in the heart? Because one starts to compare oneself with others in the Jagran realm. There's some thorns here. Anyway. Jagran realm means external world. When one compares oneself with somebody else, then one gets fully under the grip of Maya. And how does Maya work? She makes you temporary. You are eternal, but she makes you asat, temporary. Because you are identifying with the external body, which is temporary. Achit, we had full knowledge on the atmic level. You could see past, present, and future. But now you're bound by Maya, and like a little horse or a donkey, you can only see in front of you. Oh, this is going to happen, and you don't even know the future. You become achit, lack of knowledge. And nirananda, there's so much trouble. Instead of bliss of the Atman, you experience bodily discomforts, weather discomforts, and vikarala swarupa. Instead of having a beautiful form, you take up a horrible form because this world is a horrible form. How is it horrible? Even Krishna says it. Kalosmi lokakshaya krit pravriddha. This world is ruled by time, and everything to do with time means it comes to an end, to a destruction. And it is a cause of fear. So whereas self-realization leads to a great inner satisfaction, happiness and peace, bodily realization leads to false ego, restlessness, competition, envy, and seeing enemies and friends everywhere. It is the very thing which you learn in school which makes you so restless, right? They learn in school that, going to the body shop and making yourself beautiful, going to the fitness and making your body very strong, that will attract. And they will say, hi, wow, and that will make you happy. But then gradually, as age goes on, hairs turn gray and monkey lines appear on your cheeks, then nobody says hi and wow anymore. But that was the goal of life. I got a PhD in hi and wow on school, learning that that's the goal of life. What will I do with my PhD now? The teachers have cheated me. They were not teachers, they were cheaters. They never taught you what to do with old age. And if you look at the human life, how long does youth last? Childhood, up to 14, then youth comes. Maximum up to 35, then old age starts. From 40 up to 90, 100, it's all old age. Horrible, this human life. In Swarga is different. Urvashi never becomes old. Krishna never becomes old. Even Brahma doesn't become old. He looks like a boy, actually. They portray him as like an old man with a beard, but that's not how Brahma looks like. He's always young. But humans, they're always old. Their youth is very temporary, their childhood is very temporary, but they're always old. What is the purpose of this old age? Why is there so much oldness, crippledness, trouble in human form of life? Great dissatisfaction, right? And, they don't teach you what's the actual purpose of old age. It's basically, you retire and, you have some savings and you eat and drink and sleep till death and that's it. Life's finished. Life ends at 35. That's what they teach you in school. Life ends at 35 because after that there's old age, right? You degrade everything. Is that real education? Is that real education? Something in you denies this. Something within you says, no, it is not true, it's a lie. But you can't gain any grasp on it until you enter the Hare Krishna temple. You cannot get any grasp to that dissatisfaction. Yes, there you learn you're not this body, you're a spirit soul, which is never aging. It's always young, right? And therefore even old people who lost all their teeth can dance in kirtan, right? It's amazing. You're still young within. So how to realize all that? That's the path of bhakti. Now, if you look at Maharaja Yudhishthir, the eldest of the Pandavas, his name was Ajata Shatru. Ajata Shatru means one whose enemy is never born, because he didn't see anybody as his enemy. How is it that he didn't see anybody as his enemy? Because he was situated on the Atmic level, Sushupti. He was always satisfied. He knew who he was, always satisfied and satiated. So he could observe, being situated on that level of pragya, deep sleep pragya level, how everything is carried out by the modes of nature. The modes of nature, they are creating a feeling of enmity and friendship. Anybody can quote the verse that material nature is doing everything? Prakrite? No. Prakrite kriyamanani gune karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Material nature is actually doing everything by enacting the modes of nature, giving you temperaments. But because of false ego, the jiva thinks he's the doer. This is Gita 3:27. So Yudhishthir could see all that. Therefore, he understood it is actually Prakriti which binds jivas and glues them to a certain material temperament. And you have 12 of them, right? You have Mesha Rashi, Meena Rashi, Vrishabha Rashi, Kumbha Rashi. In English, how do you say that in English? Astrological temperaments. Fish, ram, crab, lion, right? By the month, you get a certain kind of nature. And you think you can never get free from these natures? No. Your whole life you're stuck with it. Like if you're a person born under crab, you will always like milk products. If you're born under lion, then you will always like spicy food, like a lion. You know? And these natures are given, and you're born with it. Why? Because your desires were there, like that. You're responsible for those desires. But once you got this is how the modes work, right? 3 times 3 is 9. Get 3 extra, I get, 12. So that is how they work, and they create a certain kind of faith within you, and a certain way of thinking, and a certain way of desiring things. Even in there is no freedom, because the desires you want to enact are in the external world, in the Jagran world. So material nature very nicely binds you and creates the illusion that you're free. Just like here, Prahlad is saying to his teachers, I'm now seeing how the illusory energy of the Lord works. So what is good and what is bad is measured according to your birth in one of these months, right? It is like that. Until you transcend your astrology, you come on the level of Atma. So this is why one can transcend the modes. If one comes to the Atmic level, on the Atma level of Sushupti, satisfaction, satiation, one stops looking for something valuable in this material world. One sees there's nothing of value here. Everything is temporary anyway. But just knowing it is not enough. If you think, oh, I know this, but you don't actually feel the satisfaction and satiation within you, then you will still hanker. And generally those who know a lot, they want to know more. As if by knowing more and more and more, you become satiated. No, Gyan is unlimited. So, for Maharaj Yudhishthir to be situated on the Atmic level, then being satiated and fully internal satisfied, also the feeling of friendship and enmity disappears. Right? The duality of friendship and enmity disappears. This is what Prahlad is trying to tell. Because when one is situated on that level and one makes a relationship with Krishna, then there is no more. Let me tell it like this. When you were in school and you were studying mathematics, you learned that it is a y-axis and an x-axis, right? And there is numbers on it, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. And -1, -2, -3, okay? You learn like that. Everyone learns it in school. And the y-axis is also like this. That 0 point let us say that the 0 point is zero pain, zero trouble. Okay? Then you have 4 quadrants, right? Upper quadrant, down quadrant, minus quadrant, up and low. So where would you place human life full of trouble? In which quadrant? Who would put it? In the minus. -1 on the I and -1 on the X, because it's all negative, right? So now the positive quadrant of happiness you would put on +1, X-axle, and +1 on the I-axle, isn't it? And further onward, unlimited happiness. Now, if you're stuck in this quadrant which is low, how do you get in it happy quadrant? How do you get there? Are you following me? You're stuck in it. The world is full of mathematics. Everything is calculated, it's shaped, and like that. No, if your account is full of numbers. It is like this. In a negative concept, in a negative world, what you gain as happiness is simply a little bit of elevation towards the 0 point. And then this satisfaction starts, you go down more trouble, like that. But until you reach the 0 point, you cannot enter into the plus quadrant, isn't it? You have to go through the 0. Whether it's a -1 or you're -1 on X or on Y, you have to go to the 0 in order to go to the plus. That 0 is Brahma Bhuta. No happiness and no distress of the material world. Then only can you experience happiness. You have to come to the 0 level. If you think that by getting some gift in a material world, like a good car or a nice bike, that is happiness, it is not. Because you're still not free of hankerings. You're still not at the 0 point. Yes, you might climb from -100 to -99, which is still in the negative world, because ultimately death will take everything away. So to go there, one has to go to the 0 point. What am I trying to say here is that in order to experience real happiness, you have to have a consciousness which is not burned by pain, because otherwise you will use the happiness to extinguish that fire of pain. And once you do that, there is nothing more left to actually experience happiness. So happiness starts from the point when there is no distress or happiness, full satiation. That's called Brahma Bhuta. Then when happiness comes and there is no distress, you can fully relish that happiness. Is that clear? No? You have to practice it. I'm just explaining it. But that's what Prahlad is trying to say here. If there is nothing more to look for in this world, right? You're not anymore in a negative quadrant, in a minus quadrant. You're on the 0 point. And then when you practice Krishna consciousness, then only happiness will come, only plus. And that is real happiness. Happiness should not depend on distress for its greatness. If it is material, because it's based on duality. Happiness has to be based on satisfaction. That is the Shantaras. Then it grows up into service, Dasyaras, more plus. And then into Sakhya, even more plus. And then to Vatsalya, even more plus. And then Madhurya, unlimited plus. Like that. That is how it is. Maybe I made it more difficult now by explaining mathematically. Anyway, I hope it is a little bit clear what I'm trying to say here. As long as you look for something in the outside world, you have always some busy looking outside world, then there comes dissatisfaction. And you look at the other, like Duryodhana is looking at the Pandavas. Oh, they have more beauty. Duryodhana, because of always looking, actually Duryodhana was born in a high grade family. Kauravas were not very low class. No, a royal family was born in. And he had good bodily strength also. He wasn't very ugly. He was a nice, beautiful Kshatriya actually. And he had great political power and influence, but he was not able to enjoy all that. Why? Duryodhana was not able to enjoy what he had because he was always looking at the others, always looking at the Pandavas. They have something better than me, so I cannot be happy. What is this? What is your happiness depending on? On others? It's simply envy. And that is because of that he saw the Pandavas were more beautiful, more bodily strength, more grace and respect. And he thought that because of them, my ego is being crushed. Though the Pandavas never attacked him. They were living just their life. But he could not tolerate them. They should not be on the planet Earth. That envious he was. He just could not tolerate them being around. They should not be in the palace. Let them go into the forest. And he managed to do all kinds of tricks and trickeries and deceit and deceiving to get them out. See? Envy can be so big that even the world is too small. That big Duryodhana's envy was, right? Competing for emperorship. So, if you look in the present world, we also find Duryodhanism everywhere, right? We are having problems and we're propagating globalism in the world, right? But if you look at globalism, means like everyone should be like America. That's basically it is. There is nothing like global. If globalization would be a real fact, then all the countries in the globe would have same value, right? But they don't have. Indian culture is not as important as European culture and as America is. No, globalization is another way of trying to put Americanism in the world. And then what happens? Poor countries who actually were happy before. I'll give an example of Ladakh. It's a very simple village area with nice little towns. And people were happy. Everything they needed, they grow from the land. Even the bricks they made from mud and clay. And one reporter went there, one British reporter, and asked the locals, "Do you have something really poor and poverty-stricken here?" He said, after thinking, no, we don't have anything poverty-stricken. They had everything. They built their houses in certain ways, and they have perfectly. They have their wool and everything. They were happy. Till internet came, and these little monsters came, and these little people from Ladakh, North India, they started looking at the West. Huh? Cars? So many cars, highways, lights, lit lamp here and there, and all these cities. And then tourism came into Ladakh. And these tourists, they spend in one day what a Ladakhi spends in a whole year. Then they start feeling themselves poor. Poor and poverty-stricken and beggars. Please give us something. Right? This is the problem when you start to compare yourself with others. It were better if there was nothing like globalization. I see. They were better off. People were more happy. And that's the problem with our globalization also. Our body is a globe. Your body is a globe. And we compare each other. He's something better, Then I'm not happy anymore in this body. I want to be in that body. And there was this saint, and there was a mouse coming to him. Say, "My dear saint, I have a problem." "What is your problem?" "The cat." "What do you want?" "I want his body. Give me his globe. Make me into a cat." Okay. He became a cat. And then later he came again. What happened now? Dogs. So okay, become a dog. So then he came, whoa, my dear saint. What happened now? Tiger. So okay, you become a tiger. You get another body. And they looked at the saint. You're quite spicy, So, you want to eat me? Okay, punar musika bhava. Again become a mouse. So like that, you see. Always comparing, never satisfied, so much envy and so much competition just because of the bodily outlooks. So, with this idea, then jealousy, despondency, sadness that we will never be able to become like America. How will a Ladakhi think, We will never become as rich as America. It's hopeless. Life is hopeless. Let me hang myself. This is all because of that. You're laughing, but it is true. If you go to so-called third world nations, people have, I was in Suriname. Every week you hear somebody commit suicide in many strange ways. They just drive their car as fast as possible and then, on somewhere. It happened in front of my eyes. I was just looking at the road, and all of a sudden, boom! I thought maybe the tire exploded, because in these poor countries, the tires of the cars are not so high quality. And when the sun is very hot, it might even explode. So like that. So they don't have German tires there. So they have China tires, something like that. And then the car turned over, and it came into a canal, water. So people went immediately there to see if there's some survivors. A little baby they took out, and the lady, yeah, they also tried to struggle it out, and they pushed the car out. And later, I thought this was an accident, but then later it turned out to be a suicide attempt. No hope in life. We can never become like America. So what is the hope of living in such a country? See, this is the problem here. And you trained in school that the goal of life is to accumulate as much as possible, big bank balance, become like the Americans. Then you're great and happy. But are the Americans happy? They're so much afraid of the Russians. The Americans go to the saint. We have a problem. Well, Russians. Okay, you become Russian. And he comes back. What's your problem now? Americans. You become American. Go back and forth, He wants to be like him. He likes to be like that. And nobody's satisfied, because they are not looking to what they have gotten, you see, what Krishna gave them. They're not using their brain, they're using their mobiles, you see, and they become dissatisfied all the time. So you also see that this jealous envy comes up, that, they play sometimes the game that the poor world, third world countries can now join the European and American economy, and then they can also become a little bit rich. But, that's what they say outside. But inside is, these poor world countries must pay in euros, not in rupees, in euros. So that means, you have to have an economy 100 times more. Impossible. But basically, you find, because of envy, those richest countries, Europe and America, they have a great monopoly and want to maintain their monopoly like that. So this Duryodanism grows, and one tries to claim prestige to something one is not entitled to. A Duryodhan consciousness is like, I want that position. Then somebody says, okay, work for it. Get the qualification. No working for it, because I can never reach that level. He knows he will never reach the level. Just like when Sati wanted to go to her father's festival, and she said to Shiva, can I go? Shall we go together? He said, no, let us not go. So why? I'm his pet daughter. He said, listen, it is true one can go to relatives' families' houses without invitation. But that's only when there is friendship and there is love. But your father is very envious of me. And I know, you know why he's envious of me? Because he knows he can never come to the level of renunciation and realization as I have. Shiva says it directly to Sati. He knows it deep in his heart. So he tries to cover that lack by pompous having big position as a Prajapati. And he criticized me openly for my renunciation. And therefore, one should not go to such people. Shiva tells him personally, directly, that Daksha was envious of Shiva. While he was looking at Shiva, this man, so much prestige. He's so renounced, so much power and influence, because that's his eye. His glasses are tainted, but looking everywhere where there is power and influence. And if somebody lives his own life and he gets respected by others, he says, he is having a lot of power and influence. Though the person is not at all thinking of power and influence. She was just sitting and meditating and being renounced, not because of prestige and power. No, others, they see his power. And Shiva doesn't display any power. So others, they measure him according to their own criteria based on envy and lust. See, that's the problem here. So it leads to setting up a conspiracy like they did with the Pandavas. First disrobe Draupadi, and then second gambling match. One who loses will have to live 12 years in the forest and the 13th year incognito. Why? Oh, and if you get caught in this incognito year, again 12 years. So in this way, get rid of that. Um, the world's problem is not heating up because of fossil fuel. The snow caps are not melting because of snow out of the heat of the fossil fuel. No, it is heating up and is melting down because of the greed, lust, and envy of humans. The solutions were long ago given, even 50 years ago. Krishna gave people the solution that, listen, you can also drive on water. You can drive on solar panels. Why don't we see such cars? Lust, greed, and envy. Oh, the world is heating up. Snow caps are melting. No, the world is not heating up. Your envy is heating up. That's actually what's happening here. And that's a problem which is obviously there, but only spiritualists can see. So, what is causing all these problems? Unfulfilled desires. Duryodhana's desires were not fulfilled, and it created enmity and envy. Because to fulfill one's desire, one has to work for, right? Dreams, if you want to materialize them, you have to work for that. And either one is not willing to do, or it's not able to do. And if you cannot do that, then what do? Steal it, rob it, under the name of colonialism, under the flag of conquering over others, invasion. These are all forms of Duryodhanism. If you are really better than those who you conquered over, then why didn't you make yourself rich in your own nation if you're better? No, you could not. You needed their wealth, and in order to enrich yourself. So you're actually slaving yourselves to the wealth of others. This is what is happening in the world in Duryodhanism. And Prahlad is mentioning this, that you create your own enemies and friends. Krishna didn't create them, so don't blame him. Another point he makes is, Prahlad is saying that Brahma became bewildered. What is that? Even such exalted persons as Lord Brahma, who are fully conversant with the Vedic literature, are sometimes bewildered in following the principles of devotional service. So Brahma sometimes becomes bewildered in following Bhagavad Dharma. Devotional service is, in Sanskrit terms, is called Bhagavad Dharma, the dharma of the devotees, the Bhagavatas. So why is it that he became bewildered? Because the Vedas, they deal with Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nishtraigunyo Bhavarjuna. The Vedas deal with topics of the three modes of material nature. Yes, there is a lot of karma kanda. If you worship goddess Uma, you can get a good wife. If you worship Indra, you get good sense gratification. If you worship the Vasavas, you get Vasus, you get a good bank balance. The Vedas describe all that, right? So Brahma even sometimes becomes bewildered because he's dealing with material energy. And some examples which are given there is in a Bhagavatam is Brahma's bewilderment in Brahma Vimohana Leela. That Brahma thought that this little boy, he's supposed to be my worshipable Lord, Hari. But look how he's doing. He's eating the remnants of the gwalas. What Krishna used to do when the cowherd boys would eat the lunch, they say, Krishna, this is so tasty. You don't have no clue how tasty this is. And he would eat that. Then Krishna would go to him. He would force his mouth open and take out and eat to taste. Krishna would do like that. So Brahma looking at this, he is God? He is Brahman? I don't believe this. Let me try it out. See if he is Brahman. So what he did, he stole all the cowherd boys when Krishna was absent. He was going to get something. Something was lost. When he came back, hey, where are all the cowherd boys? Krishna needed 1 second to think, my son has done this. And Krishna's son is Brahma. So he manifested from his own potency all the cowherd boys, even more beautiful than before. So Brahma tried to put Krishna in illusion. He came, hey, I put them in a cave, these cowherd boys. What are they doing here? So he went back to the cave. They're still sleeping there. Who's this? So he became bewildered. That's Brahma Vimohana Leela. He tried to test Krishna, and he was tested himself. And when he came to his senses, he gave a very nice explanation of his position. Listen to this one. He's begging forgiveness to Krishna. What I am, a small creature measuring 7 spans of my own hand. So I think a span is like this much, right? And if you have the right proportions, yes, 7 spans is your bodily length. Maybe this is a span, because that will be too small, This is 1 span of your own hand. So, what I am, a small creature measuring 7 spans of my own hand. I'm enclosed in a pot-like universe composed of material nature. The total material energy, false ego, ether, air, water, and earth. So Brahma is entrapped. He sees the universe as a clay pot. And what is your glory? Unlimited universes pass through the pores of your body, just as particles of dust pass through the opening of a screen's window. That is the glory. And I try to test you. So he came to his realization, what am I doing here? Another instance where Brahma got into illusion was when he came to Dwarka and told the gatekeeper, you please tell Dwarkadhish that Brahma has come to meet him. Okay. So the gatekeeper went there and Krishna told him, ask him which Brahma it is. So he went to Brahma and said, Dwarkadhish is asking, which Brahma are you? Which Brahma I am? Well, he's known to be the only Brahma in the universe, right? What kind of a strange question is this? Are there more Brahmas then? Tell him I'm the father of the four Kumaras and the four-headed Brahma. Okay, so he went inside and told Krishna, he's a four-headed Brahma, but he reacted in a very strange way. He's asking, are there more Brahmas then? Then Krishna said, okay, let me show him. And he opened all the universes and he called for all the Brahmas, come, have darshan. And then Brahma standing there, he got divine vision, just like Arjuna got divine vision. He could see all these other Brahmas from bigger universes. Gigantic Brahmas. He looked like a mouse compared to the other Brahmas. Some had 10 heads, 15 heads, 50 heads, 100 heads. And not only Brahmas, also Shivas came there. Smaller Shiva, bigger Shivas, huge. And they all, when they bowed down to Krishna's lotus feet, their crowns with their gems on it, they were sounding sounds like like this kind of sounds on the floor of Dwarka. And the gems of their crowns was reflecting on the toenails of Krishna. He understood, wow, I'm a mouse among dinosaurs. Then he understood that he's not the only Brahma. When I for the first time read this, I was so amazed and so fascinated, being a science student, that, see, parallel universes exist. They really exist. The bigger Brahmas and bigger Shivas. And all were surrendering to Dwarkadhish. All of the other Brahmas could not see the other Brahmas. They only saw themselves going and paying obeisances. But the smaller Brahma, the smallest Brahma, could see all these Brahmas and all these Shivas coming. So that was another kind of illusion, of vimohana, where Brahma got illusioned and he had to learn that he's the smallest Brahma. As another occasion, what happened is that the four Kumaras, they were debating and trying to understand that it seems that the sense objects are entering the senses, and the senses also enter the sense objects. In order to control the senses, we should break this link. How to do that? So they're debating with each other, they couldn't find any solution, they went to Lord Brahma. My dear father, we have a question. He said, yes, ask. The sense objects, like, your nice cake, is entering the senses in your heart. You have a desire. And simultaneously, your senses are connected with those sense objects, like they are inside. Is it possible to break this connection? Then we can control our senses. And even Brahma got bewildered. He couldn't answer for some time. Now Krishna didn't like his servant to become in bewilderment, so he came in the form of a swan. This is Hansa Avatar. You find this in 11th canto. And then Hansa Avatar spoke to the four Kumaras. And as a matter of fact, their sampradaya is sometimes called the Hansa Sampradaya, the Kumara Sampradaya, because they took that form of Vishnu as their instructor. He said, it is not possible to break the connection between the senses and the sense objects. They are made as one unit, right? You can see earth, the sense with earth is smell, and they come together, as one unit. The sense of fire is sight, and they come together. You can't separate them. So he was giving that idea. And also modern science has this question. When you observe something, like colors or sound, is it that it's just like two holes and vibrations are entering and then you register? Or is it that there is an active energy going out to register that? Anybody can answer this question? Sorry? I will tell that later. I just want to know if you know this answer to this question. It is also question is that when you look like this chair, we see there a chair, okay? Is it simply a reflection on my eyes that I'm registering it? Or is there something else involved, that something is going there of me and then it comes into me? Is it active or is it passive?
I think it's real. It's passive, but you only it gets active when you think, oh, that's nice. So it's there. It's passive. But I'm not interested in the chair. Yeah, I see it, but I don't call it. And it would be a Rolls Royce thing. Wow, because I like it. Because that more active. A different person thinks, I don't care about the Rolls Royce. I like the chair once more. So then get the chair more active.
What you're saying is correct, but you're contradicting yourself a little bit. It is true. Activity of seeing is actually, it's not passive, it's active. There is in the Puranjan story, the fourth canto, that when Puranjan, the Atma living in the city of the nine holes, the body, wants to enjoy, he goes through the gates. Nalini, Nalini. These are the two uh, gates of smell. One is, what is it? Jyotirmukhan Peshaskrita, I think that was the name of the two eyes. When the jiva wants to see something, he has to go out of that. What does it mean? The jiva doesn't leave the body, but it means you have to consciously observe it. Observation, sensual perception is done with consciousness. If consciousness is absent, though the eyes are open, it is not registered. So all sensual activities are active activities. And therefore you also get karma. But yeah, like you're saying, if you can passively observe it with no attachment, no message, then you're liberated. So I'm saying what you're saying is correct, but it's sometimes contradictory because you're mixing the two levels, material and spiritual. So that's very interesting, right? So the Kumaras were asking something similar. Like we see that the senses are made for the objects are made for the senses. And the connection seems to be unbreakable. How then can you control your senses? So he went to Brahma, and Brahma couldn't reply. So he was also bewildered what to say. And then Hamsa Avatar came. When Hamsa Avatar came, he said, my dear saints, it is true, you cannot disconnect the senses from these objects. But what you can do is giving up Maya and understanding that Vasudeva Sarvamiti, I am everything. Both the senses and the sense objects is me. And in this way only can you control your senses. Right? Daivi hi esha gunamayi mama maya duratteya. Mam eva yah prapadyante maya metam tarantite. We have to learn to practice this, and it's a reprogramming. It is very difficult because we have so much outreach, preaching, and we use exactly the Maya world to expand our preaching, that you have to become aware of, the externals. But we also simultaneously have to cultivate the inner consciousness that actually everything is Vasudeva. And when the day you manage to do that, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, Jnanavan Mam Prapadyante Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Suduralva, then you'll find there is no more difficulty living in this world. All pains and everything disappears. Like that. So this is what Prahlad is trying to tell his teachers. That persons who always think in terms of enemy and friend are unable to ascertain the supersoul within themselves. Not to speak of them, even such exalted persons as Lord Brahma, who are fully conversant with the Vedic literature, are sometimes bewildered in following the principles of devotional service. The same personality of Godhead who has created this situation has certainly given me the intelligence to take the side of your so-called enemy. Prahlad is trying to explain this here. So I end here. Any questions or comments? No? You have something you're murmuring about.
No. You spoke a lot, so it's really clear. It's not so easy.
There's another case where Brahma got bewildered, but that's when he was creating the material world, right? He created the snakes, the ghosts, and became so much bewildered that he ran after his own daughter in order to create that feeling also. And then he gave up that body because of sin. And then he got a new body. And then that that daughter actually appeared as his wife, Saraswati. So all these things are there in illusion. And he begged Krishna, please, please don't let me fall in Maya anymore. He got benedicted. He will not fall in Maya. But then, at the Brahma Vimohan Leela, he still got in Maya. Some acharyas, they don't agree that those chapters of Brahma Vimohan Leela were there in the Bhagavatam. They've been added later, they say. Whatever it is, these chapters, they appear in other Puranas, like that. And the reasons they say is Brahma got benedicted not to fall in Maya. But how can he then still fall in Maya? So they have been edited later. And whatever might be, our acharyas explain that the benediction was for Mahamaya, the external energy, not the Antaranga Maya, the Yoga Maya which Krishna has. And the Maya which bewildered Brahma with the calves and the cows of Krishna and the cowherd boys, that was Krishna's internal potency. That did not, that was not included in the benediction of Lord Brahma, like that. Okay? Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.